Okay. Let's see here how this is going to line up. Well, looks like I'm going to be able to use the same holes for the most part. I'll pull that camera off and show you guys here. So I just loosely tightened up those temporary mounting clamps with that top hole. You can see the epoxy in there, see it in that slit. Same with that one and the top hole there. So that's good to know as far as if you guys are going to be doing a repower, taking an old motor and putting a brand new motor on. If you're going to get to a certain size, I want to say if it's 25 and up, because all the 20s, they have the same like flange for the transom as the 9.9s and the 6 horsepowers and so on. But anything bigger than 25 is going to have that bigger plate flange so you can mount it on your transom. So good to know. I didn't know that. I didn't find any information on that. So we'll be able just to re-drill that epoxy out. Holes are already there. Throw the new mounting bolts on there, put some 5200 in, and get this thing mounted. Okay, I just did some double checking because I wasn't super crazy how the last motor was mounted. I got a ton of splash in the boat, and for a 115 or a 120 two-stroke, I only got up to 33 miles an hour, which I thought should be going faster than that. So what I found was from this side, I got about just under 6 inches to the edge of this cut out in the transom. This side, it's about 6.5 inches to the cut in this transom. And so say this wasn't true, right? That's not symmetrical on the boat. I measured from the bottom flange here to the chine corner here on both sides, and it matched. So this motor needs to go about a 1/2 inch to the left, give or take. Oh, I'm sorry, about a 1/4 inch to the left. So I'll tap it over a little bit. I will end up having to drill new holes, but with this being a smaller motor on a bigger boat, I want it to be as perfect as possible. So it's worth taking the extra time, make sure all this stuff is square, all the stuff is symmetrical, lined up the way it should be down here at the bottom with the chine, so this thing can get the best performance as we can get out of it. So what I'm doing to help make sure I got all this final movement how it should be, I'm just putting a little silver Sharpie line on where it's currently marked. I haven't moved it yet, so this will help me measure and know for sure that this motor is moving without having to keep checking my work here. So you can see the little Sharpie line there. Did the same thing on the other side. So I'm just going to tap this motor over, like I said, about a 1/4 inch, and then that's going to do the trick. We should be set up. We'll get the new holes drilled and get this thing fastened up. All right, let's see what that did. Okay. So we're right at 29 there on the chine, and basically right at 29 there. So we'll lock it down there, start drilling some holes. All right, so what I'm gonna do, since the last motor was mounted not very good, I'll show you guys here. So you can kind of see my problem. In like the right upper corner of this top mounting hole on the flange, you can see just a little bit of the existing hole that's there. I can't use that hole anymore, and I don't want to mess up this transom and with a pilot hole and then try to true it with this 1/2 inch hole. I don't know how well that's going to go. So what I'm going to end up having to do is put a brand new hole in the second hole from the bottom on both sides because the way this is sitting, if you guys can see, I need to come up about 2 inches or so from the bottom of the boat line to get this cavitation plate level with the bottom of the boat. And if I get a new hole in the second from the top hole, I should be able to lift it to this hole and I'll be just fine. What I'm going to do now is I'm not going to try and lift it and screw it because I'm going to have problems holding it in place, and I already got this exactly measured where I want it. I'm going to drill this hole here, drill in the same hole on the other side. So now we get started drilling these holes here. And these, like I was saying, these are just going to be a guide so that I know the flange is lined up. I'm just going to put these 2 holes in, lift it up to the correct flange hole on the transom bracket here, and then I'll check the cavitation plate again, see how it looks, where it ends up fitting, and if it's where I like it, then I'll just zip it down there. But I'm kind of stuck with these 3 holes now because the other motor was mounted so poorly on that original transom there. So
okay, should be good to go here.
okay, those top 2 holes are done. Bolts fit in nice. So now what I can do, loosen up these clamps that I had here in position to get my side to side set straight. Then what I'm gonna do is that one set. Oops. All right, so my camera died, but I was able to lift up this side of the motor, get that other bolt through, and I still have enough room for my clamps, so I clamped those down on the transom without having to tighten the bolts up. So those bolts are still loose, but this will be more than likely the final mounting position. I'm gonna hook this up to the battery real quick so I can get the motor trimmed to be parallel with the bottom of the boat and check the cavitation plate and see if this is where I'm gonna want it to be. It looks good right now, but I'll lift it up, do a little final measurement, and then if everything checks good, I'll take those top bolts out and go ahead and throw the 5200 on there, get those secured, and then once they're secured, I'll go ahead, do the bottom bolts, drill those ones, and we should be good to go. looks like I got power there. Go ahead and trim this. Let's see, we're about even. Might have to go a smidge more, but it's pretty close.
I'm down.
Hold on.
Come
A smidge more here. Okay, that looks pretty good. We're about maybe 3/8 of an inch below the bottom of the boat line here. It looks like about 3/8 of an inch. I'm good with that. I can live with that. So what I'll do is I'll pull these bolts out. I'll throw some 5200 on there, lock those in. Once those are locked in, I'll drill the holes for this bottom slot. Same thing, 5200, lock those in, then we'll be mounted. I'll do the wiring, tuck that away, get that all looking sharp, and it'll be ready to fire up. So we'll see. Okay, so the way these bolts go is they go from inside of the transom out. Put the big washer on the inside. That'll be clamped with the transom. That'll go through your flange like that. Then you get your small washer, and these are lock nuts. So they're not nylocks, but they have a piece of metal in there that will pinch the threads. So they're one-time use, so make sure you do this right. Put the small washer on front of that and lock that down. Make sure you put the 5200 in the hole before you put your bolt through, and that'll seal it up. So we'll get that going.
Thank you. The keys? Yeah, it's stuck, huh? Yeah. Get those threads off.
The holes, or the bolt size is a 19 millimeter, and the nut size is 17 millimeter. Go ahead and get those ready. I'm just going to use an impact to speed it up, but not clamp down the flange. So I'm not going to use the impact to zip down on the transom at all. It's not necessary. I'll do that by hand. Go ahead and get the other one set up here. Now I'm just going to get these hand tightened here. I'm kind of going to go back and forth. I'm not going to tighten one side up all the way, then go to the other side. I'll just kind of do it evenly between both sides here. Make sure everything squares up together nice.
like the manual for the torque specs on these. Check the manual here. Oh, I think my daughter took it. Alright. It's okay. Yeah.
So there's no torque specs here. Just says install them sequentially. So I'll go ahead and get those bottom holes drilled and then start tightening these down evenly.
I'm just doing these in the top of the slot here. Hold on. Okay. You got a choo-choo? Nice. Very nice. Come up there. Start throwing these holes up.
All four bolts are in now. I recruited my wife. We got these ones all tightened down. This side all tightened down. She held the nuts on the back here while I tightened up the bolts from inside under this platform here. So that's all good. I'm gonna check, just make sure we are as perpendicular as possible here. So this looks like, I'm trying to see where to go from. So at the bottom of that cast, we're about maybe just under 1.25 inches. And on this side, we are beautiful, just under 1.25 inches. I'm checking right here at this bottom of the cast mark here. I'm checking the perpendicular, or how perpendicular it is in relation to the transom, and we're even on both sides. So what that means is this motor, as far as the up and down angle goes, should be perfectly perpendicular, 90 degrees. So that's going to help with performance. And then go ahead and throw this back up here. I will check final measurement just side to side. Perfect. Just over 6 inches and 1/8. And just over 6 inches and 1/8 there. Kind of do a little triangulation here somewhat, best we can. 29, split in the weld. And 29 split in the weld. So we're good. Looks good. That should be mounted nice and square, nice and center in the boat. We'll have no problems as far as that goes. Next thing we're going to do, we'll get this wiring all situated. We'll get it routed into these grommets onto the battery, get everything zip tied up tight so it looks nice and clean. And then we'll get it started here, let it run for 5 minutes or so, start the breakup here. Actually, let's take this off. We gotta take some of this tape and foam off from the inside, and it does not come with oil in the motor. So 10W40 is what they recommend. That's what I'm gonna use for the break-in. I got some Quicksilver 10W40 shipped here the other day. So there's nice Online Outboards. That's where I got this motor from. They put a sticker on the top of the box saying how much oil goes in the motor. I want to say it's 47 ounces. I'll have to double check and see actually. 43 fluid ounces to fill up the Suzuki DF25A. So we'll get that going after we'll get the wires mounted correctly. This will be your fill. And let's see, I'm not seeing oh, here's a dipstick. So they must have moved the dipstick on the 2024s because normally I see it, sorry, I'll get out of the way. Normally I see it up here, but it's down here now. As you can see, empty, just some oil residue on there. So that looks like it's in a different location. Oil fill's right here.
That should about top it off. We'll check it in a minute. It's right in the middle of high, low, and out a little more. Should be good with that.
Perfect there. Lined up. So this little set of labels comes with it's fastened on the tiller handle. So this is all the stuff you need to go through before starting the motor. Fill engine oil. And just goes over some operating things. So that should be all we need to get this motor running. We'll start the break-in procedure today. We're not going to go out to the lake today, so we'll run it for 5 minutes at idle, just in neutral to get everything warmed up. Then you clip it in gear, let it run in gear idling for 15 minutes. That's all we'll get to today. Then what we'll do out on the lake is we'll do an hour and 45 minutes from idle speed up to half throttle. From after that, hour and 45 minutes, we'll do another hour of anywhere between idle to 3/4 throttle. And then after that, we'll be at 3 hours of total runtime. You can run up to full throttle for 5 minutes, no longer than 5 minutes, but back it back down. Then you can fluctuate your throttle from idle up to 3/4, up to full throttle, and then back down. They just don't want you going longer than 5 minutes at full throttle. Once that last 7 hours is done, you'll be at 10 hours of break-in. You change the oil out, put new fresh oil in, and you're good to go. You can run wide open throttle as much as you want, as long as you want, and she's all broken in. So we'll get a trash can filled up with some water and get this thing started. Okay, that's all in under the water line, or the above the anti-cavitation plate there. Oil's in the motor. What I like to do is I'll just give this a couple pulls to get the oil flowing through all those cylinders, on those rings, all that. Let's get this up here. Just to get that oil circulating before you fire it up and it jumps up to RPM. Got the lights starting to light up on the gauges here. All right, well, that should be good enough here. We're in neutral. Kill switch is in. Go ahead and hook this up to the gas. Almost forgot that part. Okay, we're all primed up here. Let's see what we can do. Just like that. Water's coming out. Start a little timer here for 5 minutes. There it goes though. You can see how smooth that thing's idling. That's just 30 seconds in right now. Not a lot of side-to-side vibration there. That's one of the reasons I went with the 25 instead of the 20, was because I wanted that extra cylinder to help with the harmonics, help with the stability, even the tiller handle. I mean, that's pretty minimal shaking vibrating there. So let this run for, like I said, 5 minutes. We'll bump it up to, or bump it into forward gear, let it run like that for 15 minutes, and that'll be all for today. But thanks for tuning in. This is my first time mounting an outboard motor permanently like this, so it took me a little longer, but I learned a lot of stuff along the way. And take my procedure, guys, if you want to, or do it however way you want. Let me know what I could have done better, and let me know what you liked about the video. If you liked the video, make sure to subscribe. Most of the time on this channel, I do a bunch of fishing and a little bit of boat tech and stuff like this, so this one was a little bit different. But appreciate you tuning in. I'll throw another video out when we get this thing on the water and get some more testing and braking procedures on the water.